A lot of people talk about being debt-free, mortgage-free, and not having to pay for your house once you've got out of your mortgage. But is it always a good idea to repay your mortgage as fast as possible at lightning speed? The answer quite often is no. But let me tell you why. Okay, you might be earning more than when you first took out your mortgage. You might actually not have taken out as much as you could, and so you're able to make overpayments. Maybe you came into some money, maybe some inheritance landed your way, or maybe you won the lottery. Whatever it is, you're sitting there deciding, should you go ahead and overpay on your mortgage? For most people, the answer is no. And the reason the answer is no is because you should repay the highest interest rate debt first. And usually there's going to be literally anything that you have that isn't a mortgage. If you have credit card debt, the likelihood is you're paying considerably more than the very, very low interest rates that mortgages carry. You should begin repaying that first. If you have more than one credit card debt, you should subscribe and like this video for the YouTube algorithm, and so that you can get more videos to help you get out of your debt more quickly. But in all seriousness, if you have multiple credit cards, pick the highest interest credit card first and use any money that is spare once you've made the minimum payments on everything to go and repay that, not your mortgage. If you have loans and credit cards and various other forms of debt, make sure you go through and find which the highest interest rate debt you have first and begin paying that down. That's going to get you out of debt the quickest way. And that is by far the smartest thing to do. You are actually going to be saving considerably more money. Being mortgage-free sounds like a really good idea, but what's the point of just being mortgage-free if it's going to cost you more than if you weren't? You could go and buy a small house using a number of different credit cards and be mortgage-free and be paying interest on all those cards. Is that a good idea? No. But that's exactly what you're doing if you're repaying your mortgage instead of repaying the higher debt interest first. You're just costing yourself money. You might have noticed that my coffee machine has been fixed and sent back to me, and I now have coffee. So let's take that upstairs and talk about investments. Many mortgages are at historically low rates. Many people are paying less than 1.5%, and even if you're not one of those people, the likelihood is you're probably paying somewhere around the 2 to 3% mark at worst, even if your loan to value ratio is quite high. Now, if you have that excess cash burning a hole in your pocket and you're trying to decide what to do with it, should you repay the stuff that is currently costing you 1.5 to 3%, or can you invest it in something that is actually going to earn you more? And the answer is yes, you can. Although savings accounts and other products like that will probably not give you a rate that is higher than your mortgage, there are other avenues you can turn to. In the long run, stocks and shares will significantly outperform anything like the 1, 2, 3% rate on average. And so if you have that money, that is a good place to start. You might also go and consider things like bonds, whether that's government bonds or some corporate bonds that you can invest money into. There are all kinds of indexed funds and other things that you can put your money into that will also return you a greater return on average. Or you can try things like peer-to-peer lending or some other form of innovative investment scheme, depending on how happy you are with different risk levels. All of these are likely to return you considerably more. Another common argument that I hear all the time is people saying, hey, I am happy with the house I have. I don't want to move up even though it's a bit tight and I'm a bit short on space with my family, because if I move, I have to take out a mortgage and I don't want to take out another mortgage. I'm actually happy with not having one or with this one running out soon. Now, that again is a financial fallacy, and let me tell you why. Houses are an asset, mortgages are essentially financial liabilities. Now, a lot of gurus that you might see online will talk about houses and paying for living in a house in one size fits all. Mortgages are bad, it's a liability, money is coming out of your pocket, therefore it's a bad thing.
Your house is a liability. I don't care if you have no debt on it or not. A house is a liability.
Now, that may be true if you're talking about cash flow. In cash flow terms, owning a house is definitely a liability because every month money departs from your bank account to the lender. You're essentially losing money. But there are two problems with this argument. Number one, whether you're owning a house or renting, you have to live somewhere, and wherever you live, whichever way you're paying for it, money will have to leave your account to pay for it anyway. So if you're comparing having a mortgage with renting, there isn't really that difference there. The second issue with this argument is that in terms of P&L, in terms of your actual net worth, in terms of the amount of wealth you're actually building, this argument just does not stack up. And the reason is this: if you own your house for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the value of the house at the end is going to be considerably greater than the value of when you bought it, plus the total interest you will have paid on your mortgage. So in terms of your actual net worth and the assets that you hold, the mortgage allows you to buy an asset that appreciates faster than what you're having to pay for owning it. So actually, if you have a chance to move house, if you have that option to go and move to a bigger place and you're not quite sure whether you should, if your cash flow allows for it, financially it is actually often a very good idea. In fact, housing over decades and even centuries have proven to be the one asset that over time invariably will grow in value. Okay, there'll be financial crashes and property will burn, there'll be all kinds of other things that will happen, but if you own land with a house on it and you can live there, that will over time always appreciate, because people will always need somewhere to live. As the population grows, that's only going to become a more pressing issue. As the economy grows, as inflation happens, the value of the house in the long run is one of the best ways that you can invest money. So if you're thinking of moving up and you are able to afford the payments on your mortgage, you're actually making an investment. So it's a good idea to do it in many cases, but not all. So make sure you have a thing for your particular situation. So if you have some spare money on top of making your mortgage payments and you're trying to think about making those overpayments, have a think about this. You can save more money by repaying your debt first. And if you don't have debt, there are much better places that you can invest your money in order to make a higher return. So why would you do it? On top of that, go and have a look at your mortgage. If you're within your fixed term, there's going to be severe restrictions on you being able to repay the mortgage. In many cases, you won't be able to make more than very small increments. And many people are in the fixed term for the first 2, 3 or 5 year periods. And so in those cases, if you do make those overpayments, you will incur quite severe penalties, often 10% of the amount you pay or whatever it is, if you pay more than a 5 or a 10% on top of what you're already paying. So actually in those cases you don't even have a choice, and if you're not on a fixed term, the likelihood is you're probably paying way over the odds in terms of interest. So either way you're losing out. I hope you guys found this useful. If you have, please make sure you like this video. It will help the YouTube algorithm. It will help us grow faster and get this channel through to more people more quickly. Also make sure, if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications every time one of my videos comes out. I'll see you guys later.